Okay, it's Friday. 3 weeks done. Friday the 13th. Okay. Network admin. We'll see if there's any other questions. We looked at the syllabus again. Connectivity lab. We talked about the value in doing that. A little bit about submitting it. The students took Chapter 1 quiz in class, and then we mentioned the Chapter 2 quiz they take on their own. Talked about networks in more detail. So we started out talking about a computing device. We have a client, and then here in a little bit we'll talk about accessing a server. So we get a client-server environment. So the PCs, we did IP config all, and we talked about some key things. In there, we talked about computer getting an IP address, and then a mask, and at this point we're not worried about the mask. And then default gateway. And we took a look at those things a little more specifically. So the IP address came from a DHCP server. In fact, all three of these came from a DHCP server. And also the DNS came from the server, Domain Name Services. That allows us to contact something like Dell.com, and the DNS converts this to an IP address, which then can route through the internet. We also looked at address of my computer, a public address out on the internet, and we do network address translation through the firewall, and it keeps track of them by a port number. So when we looked, all of us had this same address being used out here on the internet. And then we looked at some web services. Everybody's got a web account, and we took a look at those. And next Friday we'll talk about how you can access that and update it. Okay? One last thing here. PC contacted the server here, and that's where it got its addressing, DNS, and so forth. All of this information down here. Which then allows it to communicate out to the internet or other places within our network. And so your computing device could be a PC, could be your phone, could be your laptop, and basically because of protocols, rules for transmission, talk more about that on Friday, we're able to communicate to other devices. Talked a little bit about TCP/IP. It's a protocol that allows us to communicate through the internet. We looked at an example of going to a server like Facebook and then getting that information back. So when we're at home, or if we're anywhere, we go through the internet, contact the server, it'd be the destination, sends the information back, and we're the client-server environment. So at home, the same thing happens. Your address, your private IPs, which tend to be 192.168s, are converted to a public IP that your ISP provides. And they call that network address translation. So if you're curious, when you're home, you can search on what is my IP, Sorry about that. And it'll give you the public IP that your ISP is using for you via the internet. And then you can use some of the other techniques we worked on in class to look at your private IP on your device. You can look it up on your phone, you can look it up on your laptop. All devices have some type of private IP typically if they're accessing the internet. One more page here, kind of look at the whole picture. So, computer uses DNS to get an IP address for some website, then it uses that IP address to go out through the internet and let's say to Facebook. Then Facebook swaps the addresses around, source and destination, and then it sends the information back to your computer here. So really a couple things happen. Right in here, your address gets changed to a public address distributed by your ISP. So when it's in the internet doesn't care about what's out here or what's in here. It just is a transport layer that gets it to the locations it needs to get it to. So that's why we had lots of computers internally here in the lab, and they all received the same public address when they went out the internet. And these port numbers keep track of who's who back here on the inside. And the similar things happen. It happens at your home, happens here where web servers are, happens at Dell.com, so forth and so forth. Alright, so what are we doing currently? You should finish up chapter 2 and take the quiz. And you should be working in chapter 3. And we'll try to finish up 3 next Friday. That's it.